I waste my time? I don't have time for anything.
You got the Masked Singer to watch, right? I don't know. I love documentaries, and so if a documentary is going to come on, I'll watch it.
Sure, yeah. Why watch a documentary, about Syria or
I think for me, what I find so fascinating, even though I'm not really interested in watching the documentary, I find the story fascinating from the aspect of these are all things that could have been avoided. Like they were just examples of one poorly thought out.
It's not a good faith thing where it's like, oh, I could have fallen the same way. No, I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to learn anything with a fire documentary. It's not going to make a better world.
It's fascinating. I always,
I mean, it's not a didactic. It's not, didactic and the entire premise is a single sentence. Poorly planned festival.
It's Schadenfreude. You watch it because you want to enjoy seeing things fail. I mean, you guys mentioned that earlier, so that's Nicole. I'm sorry we're boring you.
No, it's okay. I'm getting some work done. It's all good.
You should watch the documentary about the island of Dr. Moreau that starred Val Kilmer.
Ooh, what's that called?
I'm trying to. I was watching little bits of it yesterday, but it's a very fascinating story.
Netflix?
It was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is.
Okay, I'll look it up.
But it's fascinating just because it's so dysfunctional, but they still made a movie, at the end.
I like crime documentaries too. Good stuff.
All right, you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Nicole?
Yep. Yes.
All right. Here we go. Cyril Petrie has supported Independent Tech News directly for more than 5 years. Be like Cyril. Become a DTNS member at patreon.com/DTNS. This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, January 18th, 2019 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And hunkering down in Cleveland from a snowstorm, I'm Len Peralta.
And on a surprisingly sunny day, I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Joining us today will not be Sarah Lane because she's on vacation, but we're very happy to have Nicole Lee, senior editor at Engadget, with us. Thanks for coming back, Nicole.
Thanks for having me.
Have you recovered from your CES experience?
Yes. Yes, I have recovered from my CES experience. I thankfully have not undergone the CES flu or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. No, I escaped that, knock on wood. I guess it's late enough. It wouldn't be a trigger. Yeah.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. We're going to talk food tech with Nicole a little later in the show. Somebody during CES was pointing out that you and I are both lovers of the Instant Pot, which kind of got us thinking about talking about this. So we'll talk about the Instant Pot and a few other things. Let's start with a few tech. But you know what? Actually, I don't have Sarah to read these with me today. So Nicole, will you play quick hits word association with me?
Sure.
Okay, so I will read the news item, and you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind after hearing the news item.
Okay.
All right. Start with a few tech things you should know. There's a big one. The Washington Post reports the U.S. Federal Trade Commission is discussing imposing a fine on Facebook for violating its agreement to protect the privacy of user data. Now, this is 3 different sources telling the Post this. The FTC has not made this public. However, what is public is the FTC has been investigating since last year data given to Cambridge Analytica by Cambridge University data scientist Alexander Kogan in violation of Facebook's terms, and whether Facebook should be held responsible for that. The findings and any possible fine that could come along with those findings have not been finalized, according to the Post sources, and they're currently not making any progress because there's a lack of funding from the U.S. government, which is shut down right now. Nicole.
It's about time.
It's about time. All right. Very good. Microsoft announced it will end support for Windows 10 mobile devices December 10th and officially recommends customers move to Android or iOS. So let's pour a little out for Windows Phone. Device backups for settings and some of your apps will continue to work even after the end of support. That will work until March 10th, 2020. And some services like photo uploads and restore from an existing device backup, Microsoft says may continue to work for up to a year after the end of support. But by December 10th, you should probably get another phone if you're on Windows Phone.
Bring back the Zune.
Zoom phone. Maybe Google's frightening page of news results we talked about on yesterday's show worked. 11 countries opposed passing along the EU's copyright directive, which had been approved by the European Parliament in September and was voted on by the European Council today. So it does not go on its way to become law. Several countries objected to Articles 11 and 13, which let publishers require paid licenses to list snippets in search results. That's what Google was protesting yesterday, and puts more liability on companies for user-uploaded content. Member states will now have until February to reach a compromise approval of an updated version of the text.
Oh, viva la France!
Sure, it's Europe. Why not? Although I don't think France was one of the ones that voted against it. So you kind of are pro-copyright directive if you say Vive la France. TechCrunch reports that multiple sources tell it Facebook has been building a product called LOL that features a feed of funny videos and GIF-like clips targeted at teens. Content is divided into categories like animals, fails, and pranks. Facebook confirmed to TechCrunch that LOL is currently in private beta with around 100 high school students. Facebook is deciding whether to include it in Facebook itself or launch it as a standalone product.
OMG, WTF.
That's perfect, yeah. Tesla announced it will cut its workforce by 7%. That'd be about 3,000 people by all counts. In a letter to staff, CEO Elon Musk said their cars are too expensive for the average driver and profits at the company are too low. Musk wrote that starting around May, we will need to deliver at least mid-range Model 3 variants in all markets as we need to reach more customers who can afford our vehicles, as well as making progress towards lower-priced models. Musk still set goals to increase Model 3 production rates and make manufacturing and engineering improvements. They'll just have to do it with fewer people.
It's just too expensive. They need to lower the price.
Yeah, we've been saying that for a while, right? Come on. You got to figure out how to make them cheaper, I guess. All right, let's talk a little more about Netflix. Netflix put out its earnings report yesterday afternoon and beat estimates for earnings per share, but fell below expectations for revenue. The company also forecast lower than expected numbers for the coming quarter, Q1 2019. Netflix beat expectations on subscribers, though, adding 1.53 million in the U.S. and 7.3 million outside the U.S. Both of those numbers beat expectations. Netflix added 29 million subscribers on the year. That's 33% more than they added in 2017. Netflix estimates it accounts for about 10% of U.S. TV screen time. It's kind of fuzzy math, but they're guesstimating. And said in their shareholder letter, we compete with and lose to Fortnite more than HBO. Whoa. Drop the mic, Netflix. It noted when YouTube went down briefly in October that Netflix viewing and signups spiked. They're trying to make the point that we're not a competitor for other video services. We're a competitor for entertainment. Netflix also released some rare numbers, reporting 80 million people watched Bird Box in its first 4 weeks. 20 million watched another show out of Spain. 10 million watched Bodyguard, The Protector, and Baby. That show out of Spain is called Elite. Netflix also predicted that 40 million people will watch the series You and Sex Education during those series' first 4 weeks. So Netflix coming with some numbers, which they don't usually do.
So the whole thing about Netflix not putting themselves against like HBO and all that, that's not new. Like they've always said from like years and years ago, their competitor is free time.
Right. And the closest they've ever come is saying we need to become HBO before HBO comes us. Yeah. And that was 10 years ago. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's really interesting, especially in the light of their recent quote unquote price hike. As I'm sure you guys have mentioned already, you know, the whole like raising up by $1 or $2, depending on your particular price tier. And, you know, even though it's lower than expected, it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's still pretty high.
And they missed on revenue, not earnings per share, so they're profitable. If they raise their price and they can keep those subscriber numbers up, presumably they'd have higher revenue as well. And we're not hearing them say, for the first time in a couple of years, we're going to increase significantly the amount we spend on content. It seems like they finally hit their plateau there. So that's what's been dragging them down the past couple of years.
I mean, one hopes because those stand-up specials are expensive. A lot of those, you know, TV shows are really expensive. But, you know, I mean, hopefully they'll get enough subscribers to help them stay afloat.
Yeah, it'll start to pay off now is what they're hoping. New York Times tech columnist Kevin Roose noted on Twitter that 3 5-star reviews of the Facebook portal on Amazon just happen to have the same names as Facebook employees. Now, all 3 reviews were listed as verified by Amazon. That means Amazon said this account bought the Facebook portal from us, so it wasn't Facebook employees that got it for free. However, Amazon does ban you from reviewing your own employer's products. Facebook VP of AR and VR, Boz Bosworth, replied to Roos on Twitter saying, neither coordinated nor directed from the company. From an internal post at launch, we unequivocally do not want Facebook employees to engage in leaving reviews for the products that we sell to Amazon. We will ask them to take down.
I mean, that's good. But also you have to imagine that was some kind of internal, like, maybe not officially sanctioned, but you have to imagine there has to be some kind of internal like agreement, perhaps.
No, really? I mean, 3 employees out of a company that has 1,000 employees, and these employees did pay for these portals.
Yeah, but
I think it's rogue employees. These employees thought they could get away with it.
No, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. It's like they decided amongst themselves.
Oh, you think the 3 were a cabal?
Perhaps.
That'd be interesting to find out if they actually work together closely. I'd like to know that. I think it was just 3 people, 3 out of 1,000 people. That's like less than 1%. Just happen to have the same idea. That seems likely to me too. And they probably all thought they wouldn't get caught. So
exactly.
If you read the reviews, though, they do not make it clear at all that they are Facebook employees, right? Because they know it's wrong. So
I also think like if you were really going out to like trick people, you would use a different name.
Yeah, that's a good point. They weren't very smart about it if they were trying to trick people.
Exactly.
Alphabet's health-oriented company Verily has received FDA approval for an electrocardiogram e-ink watch to be used in medical studies of conditions like multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's, as well as individual care of those diseases. The device, called the Study Watch, requires a prescription. Now, TechCrunch's Brian Heater, along with many other people, have sort of made the connection of like, hey, could this come to Wear OS? Because Alphabet owns Verily and Alphabet owns Google. And that is interesting given that Apple put the EKG in the watch. And so I'm actually looking at this as sort of a canary in the coal mine for how Alphabet's companies cooperate now that they've been separate divisions, separate companies for long enough. If this doesn't go to Wear OS, I think that's very telling.
And I think it'll be interesting to see, like, if this kind of technology would be kind of an agnostic, like perhaps you would think a platform agnostic technology that would be
right.
OS, but in anything like an Apple Watch or any other Fitbit type of device that would be not just Wear OS, but I mean, Wear OS you would hope would get some share of it as well.
Yeah, I would like to see Verily decide that, hey, we're a separate company owned by Alphabet. While we certainly know those guys across campus at Google, and we probably should stand in the lunch line with them, we want to also sell our tech to other companies because that's what will make us a standalone independent company. So I would like to see this come to a Fitbit or Garmin or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be better. It would give them more credence, actually.
Yeah, it really would. And like I said, I think this is something where we all assume a lot that, well, they're calling it Alphabet, but really it's all just Google, right?
Exactly.
And this is one of those things you can look at to say, well, is it really a conglomerate now? Is it really separate companies or not? I thought Nest would be a good indicator of that, and unfortunately, they just took Nest and folded it right back into Google, so it kind of indicated the opposite. Privacy advocate Max Schrems has led a group called Noib in filing a series of complaints with the Austrian Data Protection Authority under GDPR against 8 companies who stream video. Noib says it requested customer data under the GDPR from YouTube, Netflix, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, SoundCloud, Dazen, and Flimit, and all of them fell short of GDPR requirements. None of the companies provided sufficient background information to help customers understand the data that was missing. So GDPR requires you not only to hand over the data, but help people understand it. A couple of the companies gave you some guidelines, but Schrems is saying it wasn't enough to help me understand it. Only Flimit and Netflix provided what Schrems calls intelligible data rather than just a dump of raw data. and partial background information in both of those cases. They were the two that at least tried. Dazen and SoundCloud didn't even respond. They didn't even give you the data. What Schrems is picking on mostly with Apple and YouTube and Amazon is you generally say, I would like my data, and you just get a download, and then it doesn't give you any context for it.
Yeah. I mean, GDPR is fairly far-reaching in that not only do you need to know what's happening with your data, you need to know what kind of data is being shared in the first place. Like it's a fairly wide-reaching thing, and part of the deal is that when you ask them what's happening with your data, they are obliged to answer you. So
yeah. Well, the idea is that you'll be able to understand what they're collecting on you, right? So, yeah, it's meant to help you understand. And if it's not helping you understand, then I don't think these companies should be fined up to 4% of their annual turnover, which is the max fine of GDPR. But I think they should be given a warning and said, you need to remedy this. You need to create something that helps people understand what you're giving them, structure your data a little bit more so they can see what it is. I think this is all good.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
CEO Satya Nadella told the media that Microsoft now sees Cortana as a skill for Microsoft 365 subscribers, and that it should be used as a skill on Google and Amazon assistants and any others in the same way that Microsoft apps are available for iOS and Android. I like this. The way Nadella is sort of positioning Amazon and Google voice assistants as platforms, as operating systems, if you will. Nadella compared voice assistants to web browsers, actually, in their need to be interoperable and access similar information. And Cortana is just a website in that metaphor that helps you do cool things. Cortana already integrates with Amazon. It does not yet integrate with Google, though. I would like to see it do that as well. I think this could get us down the road to at least having a more clear choice of, well, if I live in this ecosystem, I'm not limited in what I can do. It's like picking Android or iOS. There are certain things you lack, but 90% of stuff can be done on either platform.
I think right now, one of the issues is that some of these technologies are still fairly new. I don't think many people are as familiar with Cortana as they are with, Alexa or, Google. And I think this could be a way for Microsoft as well to say, hey, this could be a way to let Cortana have more playtime, be on the same level playing field as the other two. And I don't know. I think it's kind of a tough sell, really, because I don't think as many people really know what Cortana is or what it does or how it's different from any other from an Amazon's or Google's assistant.
Yeah, another comment Nadella made in the same media meeting was sort of vaguely indicating they might bring Microsoft 365 to consumers. Right now, Microsoft 365 is great for enterprise because it includes your Windows 10 support contract, but most consumers don't pay for Windows anymore, right? So Microsoft 365 for consumers would have to give you more, probably bundle in Skype with Office 365 and maybe voice assistants in all of that stuff. I think Microsoft wants to see Cortana just become the voice assistant that's in all their software. And so the Echo or the Google Home may be how you tell it something, but it's the native intelligence inside of Office or Skype or whatever, Outlook, that will then understand and talk back to you would be Cortana.
Yeah, sounds good.
Folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. All right. Instant Pot. First of all, just real briefly, we've got to geek out about the Instant Pot because I got one over the holidays. Eileen bought one during Black Friday on a deal. How long have you had yours?
Middle last year, I want to say.
Oh, okay. So you're way more experienced. So as I mentioned, our mutual love of Instant Pot got us talking about food tech during CES, but we're both so busy looking at all the food tech at CES that we wanted to wait until now to kind of talk about where this space is going.
Yeah. So you mentioned Instant Pot. Of course, one of the innovations, or I guess, new features of the Instant Pot is that there's going to be one with Google Assistant, right? And so that's
that's right. They're bringing it to a couple of the models.
Yeah, a couple of the models. And, we can argue, we can sit here and wonder whether or not Google Assistant is even necessary or some of these things. But I think it's, if it's free, if it's a free update, sounds good to me to have it added to everything else.
Well, I mean, I guess if you could say like, hey, restart the timer or something like that. I don't feel like, when I'm using it, I don't feel the need that I have to talk to it, because I kind of want to be over there looking at it, and then I'm already there with the buttons.
Yeah. No, I completely understand, which is why like it may be like a nice little add-on, right? So that's the Instant Pot. And of course, we can probably talk about like, the various things it does to improve our lives.
What is, if you could sum it up, what's the biggest advantage to the Instant Pot? Because I think a lot of people probably know, okay, I'm supposed to be able to make a meal, but all in one pot. And I know it's a pressure cooker and a crock pot and a steamer and a couple other things all put into one. And there's an app. But what about it? What's so cool about that?
Right. So I think the big initial selling point of the Instant Pot is that it's like 7-in-1 gadgets. You can make your rice, and it's a slow cooker, and it can do all kinds of different things. You can make yogurt in the Instant Pot, which we talked about a little bit. And but the main I would say the main primary attraction of the Instant Pot is the pressure cooker function. Is that the fact that you can cook a brisket in like an hour versus
that's the instant part of Instant Pot.
That's the instant part of Instant Pot. And that really is Core's selling point, is that you can just like, put it in there, turn it on, walk away, and then have it ready when you come back. And that's kind of the magic of having an electric pressure cooker.
Except while it can do rice, it can't do anything else when it's doing rice. Or it could do spaghetti, but it can't do anything else. So when I made the spaghetti sauce, I had to make the spaghetti in a different pot.
Right.
We always use the rice cooker for rice. We don't use the Instant Pot. That's just too much.
It's just too much. There are things on the internet, of course, that you can look into where you can buy a little compartments, and you can cook separate things all at one time.
That's fancy.
There are tricks that people have used to cook multiple things at the same time. So that's a cool thing about Instant Pot. But that's obviously not the only thing at CES. CES is primarily still a tech show. There are other smart devices. There's the June 2.0, and it's a newer version of the June Smart Oven. And I'm not sure if I'll just give a brief summation of what the June Oven is. It's kind of like a smart oven that has a little camera on the ceiling of it that can recognize different foods you put in. So if you put in like a pizza, it'll know exactly, you're cooking a pizza, and it immediately suggests like a different cooking pizza times, and you just time it exactly for that slice of pizza that you just put in.
Yeah, so at CES, they were showing it with asparagus a lot. Yeah, they would have asparagus, they'd stick it in, and it would say, that's either asparagus or broccoli. And then it was a touch screen that you could just tap the asparagus picture, and it would know, okay, it's definitely asparagus. That's how we're going to cook it.
Right. So that's kind of the thing with the June Oven. It used to be really expensive. It used to be like $1,500 or something insane. But now the newer version, quote unquote, the newer version it's only $600. It's still expensive, but it's not as expensive as it used to be. That's it's very competitive with the Tuvala, which I own and love.
Right. But the Tuvala doesn't do the recognition thing in the current version, right? The Tuvala, you have to either buy one of their meals, which are great, and scan it, or use the app to say, oh, this is what I'm cooking. The June ovens, in this race for the smart oven is like, we can actually recognize. And I actually saw others, I think Grundig had one that would recognize food as well. That seems to be one of the new features going into a lot of these smart ovens.
Yeah, absolutely. They all have this little, camera to recognize the food thing. And it seems to be, smart oven seems to be the new thing. You mentioned Tuvala, this is the June. And then recently there's also the Brava oven, which cooks with light. It's kind of like the adult easy bake oven.
It's more than just a light bulb, though. It's a little more sophisticated than that.
A little more sophisticated than that. There are technically 4 different light bays, you could call it, in the like sort of LED compartments in the oven, and it essentially will increase depending on what food you put in, the intensity of will increase depending on what foods you put into the oven there. And this one is like really expensive. It's almost $1,000, and I think that's really because of the technology is so new. It's such an cooking with light is not really a tested kind of thing. And they do have
you on your electricity bill because it doesn't have to heat up heating elements, and maybe it cooks a little faster because of that. But I'm not sure what the big advantage here is at $1,000.
So from what I kind of figure from based on my review of it is that you can cook multiple things at the same time. So you can cook like salmon and let's say asparagus at the same time, and because you can have the light at different intensities at different parts of the oven. So if the salmon is it's at the front of the oven, the light can be really strong, let's say.
Gotcha. Okay.
Versus some asparagus in the back, but the light can be sort of subdued, perhaps, to sort of match
mood lighting for your asparagus.
Mood lighting for your asparagus, or something. Like that. So the idea is that the light have
more control.
Will have more control over the intensity, and that way you can cook like a whole meal at the same time.
Okay, all right.
Or like the fraction of the time you used to make, or something like that. I still think it's really expensive, but.
Yeah.
Whirlpool
was also showing off a smart oven that's very similar in that it identifies your food. It tries to cook perfectly. I guess the one of the big advantages of Whirlpool is that they own Yummly, so you have some recipe integration. Was there anything else that you liked about this one?
So I like, there's this whole like, it has a quote unquote augmented reality function, which I kind of scoff at, but it does, I understand what they're going for. Essentially on the front of the oven is a transparent display that overlays the recipe and also overlays instructions on where to put the asparagus or the salmon in the oven. Like it actually outline the part of the oven that you should put the food in, kind of thing, depending on the heat levels of the oven, all that kind of thing. So it's still very early days, but you mentioned Whirlpool, it's a big name in the kitchen appliances. And
they also could let you see the food and zoom in on it without opening the door, which at CES, I felt like, I said this a couple of times, I think that's a legitimate feature that may not be the only thing that makes you want to buy an oven, but I like that feature a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still early days for this. It's still concept level, concept oven, you could say. But according to Whirlpool, they will bring it out for the end of this year or maybe early next year.
All right. So we have a lot of smart ovens. They can cook with light and they can recognize your asparagus. But are they really serious cooking utensils? Are they going to improve your food, or are they just kind of hype collectors? Are they just sort of trying to wow you?
I think there's two different ways you can look at it, or maybe more than two. This is my initial two ways of looking at it. One is that, is it good for novice cooks? Like if you don't even know how to cook at all, like are these gadgets supposed to like be helping you? And the other side of it is if you're already pretty proficient at being a good cook, are these devices meant to help you? And I think it really depends on what you're looking at. So I think the smart ovens seem to lean towards the novice cook. Like you mentioned Tovala, I think Brava's similar way. You just put it in, you forget about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but this oven says step 1, step 2, step 3. Just follow the dots, and you have a good meal. And there's one way to look at it. But I think something like the Instant Pot, and that's what I think anyway. Something like the Instant Pot, it's really more for like if you're already kind of a decent, like you already know how to cook somewhat. It makes life easier. It makes it easier, more convenient, it's faster. Sure. Right, for sure. But some of these ovens do that better than others. I feel like the Brava is good for like novice, perhaps, if you know what you're doing. For the June, I feel it kind of fits both ways. I can totally see how the June would be good for novice cooks as well as those who just want to like put in a slice of bacon and have the oven do all the thinking for you.
Yeah. Now, Nicole Lee, many people may not realize, is one of the greatest veterans of Best of CES. She has been involved with Best of CES when Tech TV had it, when CNET had it, and now with Engadget. Explain to us, Nicole, if you would, please, why the Consumer Electronics Show Best of CES winner was a burger. Okay,
so... But you have to, first of all, the Impossible Burger is no ordinary burger.
Right.
It is an iteration of what used to be a plant-based protein that tastes and feels and really tastes a lot like real meat. And I think that, and the newer version, the Impossible Burger 2.0, is made even more than that. It tastes even closer to the real deal. And I think there is definitely some technology and science that goes behind making such a plant-based protein taste so meat-like, but also that there is potential far beyond the realms of technology. A TV is a TV.
Sure.
A computer is a computer. This you could make the argument that this has potential for far bigger realms than that. This could have the potential of revolutionizing the way we eat, the way we view meat, hopefully reducing our meat consumption, which will in turn lead to, being more environmentally conscious and saving the environment in some small way. Yeah. And I think that has the bigger ramifications of what is just a quote unquote burger. Even
if the Impossible Burger 2.0 isn't going to save the planet, the fact that it could contribute to that does put it above a big 8K TV. That seems fair.
I will say that there were a lot of debates about this internally as well. I definitely stand by our decision, and I do think that has a good message overall.
Yeah. I can't wait to taste one because your review made it sound delicious. So I really want to get one of these pretty soon. Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com and facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. Reaching into the mailbag really quickly. Alan from icy Montreal, Canada emailed us and said, about 2 episodes ago, there was a viewer email read out loud about woes of the disappearing headphone jack and the forced adoption of Bluetooth headphones. Now, I'm a bit of an audiophile and used to hate Bluetooth audio. I was convinced it would not catch on. Then I ate my words after discovering and trying Bluetooth 5.0 plus headphones using the newer sound codecs like aptX HD and LDAC. After some research, I settled on Sony's WH-1000XM2 headset. It sounds incredible. And because I'm on a newer Android phone, it supports the best codec, LDAC, which is marginally better than aptX HD via some compression magic. It's natively supported since Android P, but not on iOS, where the headset falls back to aptX HD, which still sounds quite good, frankly. I no longer miss the headphone jack. For anyone that thinks Bluetooth sounds like garbage, try a present-day headset on a present-day device. You'll be surprised how much better it sounds today than it did 4 years ago. Thank you, Alan, for that. I appreciate that. Always good to get both sides of a story there. Sometimes there's even more than 2 sides. Usually, actually, there are a lot of sides to stories. Let's check in with Len Peralta's side of today's show. What are you drawing, Len?
Oh, yes. I, too, am an Instapot person, and I'm big on food tech and very interested. The one thing that I saw in the notes, which I was checking, and it was, you guys didn't talk about this, was the machine that bakes bread every 6 minutes.
Bread robot, yeah.
The bread robot. I found that fascinating, and this is sort of my take on that. Do you really need a fresh loaf of bread baked every 6 minutes? So the images of a guy who is surrounded by bread and is saying, please eat this bread. Loaf is baked every 6 minutes by an ultraviolet light controlled by a 17-year-old Armenian hacker who was monitoring me over the internet through my Dutch oven. Can't stop it. Kill me now.
How can he monitor you through a Dutch oven? That just doesn't make sense.
You know what? It's possible. If the Impossible Burger is possible, the Dutch oven being monitored.
The bread bot is mostly for grocery stores. It's not for consumers. Just FYI.
Well, it would have been funny, though. I just see a guy sitting in his apartment with thousands of breads.
Please eat my bread. I've been hacked. Well, go check it out, folks. LenPeraltaStore.com. Anything else, Len?
No, that's it. Just go to the store. Oh, patreon.com/Len. You can actually get these prints if you become a DTNS lover level backer, and you get them every month. So go ahead and check it out.
Thanks, Nicole Lee, for joining us. As always, anything to tell folks about in particular going on with you?
No, I'm still kind of getting over CES After Effects, but you can Aftermath, I should say. You can always check out what I'm doing at twitter.com/Nicole.
Go check it out. It was the first Twitter account I ever followed. It should be the one you follow today if you don't already. Hey, folks, if you're at the $5 above level on our Patreon, you get a weekly column from Roger Chang, and this week is no exception. If you want to know Roger's old man stories about backing up your cloud, it is a good read. All about photos and keeping track of your photos and where you should go and how to make sure they're safe. And it's all right there at patreon.com/DTNS. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Keep the emails coming. We love them. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC, though we're off on Monday for the Martin Luther King holiday, and then Sarah will be back on Tuesday. You can always find more about we're streaming at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. See you Tuesday with Pat, Brian Brushwood and Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Great show.
Hooray!
And Cervantes 47 will be here Tuesday as well in Discord. He tells me right now. In Discord. I love the picture you used, Roger. If you are grouchy, irritable, or just plain mean, there will be a $10 charge for putting up with you.
That was the thing at I think we were not Kauai. We were in like the Big Island, and that was like what was at the restaurant we were at. I was really hungry. And I just like, oh, that's very interesting. Like, does that mean I have to pay more? Or
Roger asked if he could actually pay the $10 to be grouchy.
Well, what I didn't realize was the island is actually filled with some pretty grouchy folks, grouchier than me, which is hard to imagine.
It's because of all the rocks on the beach. Makes people angry.
It's the lava rocks. They're not soft.
Pumice
stones.
Yep.
So a couple of title ideas that we have out here. LOL OMG is one. We got RIP Windows Phone, just if we want to be a memorial. Hey Google, feed me now. It's more than a light bulb. Instant Pot, Insta Magic. Can you smell what Tom is cooking? I'm the Rock. Cook by numbers. Can a smart oven make me dinner? That's not bad.
Can a smart oven make me a healthy dinner? That's
all of the dots cooking.
Awesome. So awesome.
Any of these strike a chord with you, Nicole?
Strike a chord. Discord. No. Which one? What was the one you mentioned?
Which one?
No, which was the last one you mentioned? The last one you said.
Follow the dots cooking. Was that the last one I said? Can a smart oven make me dinner?
Can a smart oven make me dinner? Oh, maybe.
Put your food in the mood.
Food in the mood. Mood lighting for your asparagus.
Mood lighting for your asparagus is pretty good. We could do that. It made everybody laugh, so we're doing that. Mood lighting.
I like that one. Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. I'm putting it in the WordPress now for you, Roger, and the file is green. Your asparagus. As always, Nicole, hang out as long as you feel you can or want, but we know you've got a job. Yeah, so if you need to go.
Thank you so much for having me. I have to leave.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being here. It was great talking food with you. That was really fun.
Yeah. Next
Yay.
Time. All the time. Anytime.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Bye. We just got a spam comment. It was very awesome. You are a good site. Thank you.
Oh, I thought it was like spam, like the meat, like how to cook it in the Instapot.
Oh, no.
You don't cook spam in the Instapot, do you?
You could.
I was under the impression that the Instapot was the miracle of modern cooking. I want it to be the miracle of modern cooking.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that it can actually make every single thing ever.
Well, you're not making spam, you're just cooking spam.
Well, you could definitely cook spam in the Instapot. I'm just not sure that that's the best use for it. I mean, I guess you couldn't really make musubi unless you use those compartmentalizations that Nicole was talking about.
One makes the rice, one heats up the
If you could have a compartment that makes the rice and then the other one makes the spam, then you just pull it out and assemble it and you got spam musubi. There you go. I guess you can use the Instant Pot to cook spam.
And spam is already cooked, so it's not like you gotta reach a certain temperature. Spam, 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 spam.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this in the pre-show, but the hat I'm wearing today was the winner in the DTNS hat bracket that you can follow along at Challonge, CHALLONGE, challonge.com/DTNS hats. It defeated this poor 1979 era Cincinnati Reds adjustable hat. Now been eliminated from the tournament.
Eliminated.
Yeah. So the AIE hat that I'm wearing will go on to face the winner of next week's battle, which will be the St. Louis Blues hat versus the black fitted Oakland A's hat.
I gotta level it.
And then I'm going off on vacation the week after that. So I may come back with a new hat.
What if you came back with a different face? Like,
Oof.
That's
Like,
frightening. Yeah.
well, isn't that the whole soap opera gimmick? Like,
What if
we
I
had to
came back with eyes without a face?
Mm.
what if you came back as Billy Idol? I'd listen to the show.
But how would you even know if you were just listening?
Ah.
Tom could just say he looks like Billy Idol.
You could try to affect a Billy Idol like accent.
The sneer, right?
Well, you couldn't hear the sneer. I mean, can you hear a sneer?
It's a nice day for a DTNS.
DTNS.
A little Elvis at the end, but sure.
It's a nice day for some tech news.
You know, Tom, every time I signed up for your newsletter, and every day it comes to me, I'm like, oh, Tom wrote me something. Because it's
Free tech
Tom.
newsletter. Yeah.
And I go, oh, it's not really from Tom. It's the bot.
That's funny. It's freetechnewsletter.com. And yes, it comes from me, Tom Merritt. But that was happening to me with Justin Robert Young's free political newsletter. The same thing. I'd be like, oh, I got a note from Justin. What did he see that? Oh, it's his newsletter.
It's the newsletter.
Wow.
He doesn't like me.
But I still enjoy the newsletter. It's just that if you are like me, eventually you'll start to know the subject lines and realize, oh, this is the newsletter.
Yeah.
And you'll still get excited when you get an actual email from.
Unless you were being ironic and you were naming your email something funny and just, hey, did you get my email? No, I didn't even check it out.
I already sent today's out. The next one I send out, I should put, hey, Len.
Hey, Len, it's me, Tom.
In the subject.
That would be hilarious. I'd be like, oh, oh.
Yeah.
Damn you, Tom Merritt.
Hey, Len, want to come over?
Want to play the Switch?
Hey, Len, I'm going to be in town.
In town. Yeah. In town, 23rd through 29th.
If we ever figure out how to make our Patreon grow again, I would like to make going on the road a thing.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Where we actually go and visit like Cleveland,
Cleveland? Yeah, because you have two people here, Rich.
Yeah, you and Rich. Oh, there's more than that. Big Jim's in the area. Who else? There's a lot of people around the Cleveland area.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who else is there, but I'm forgetting a bunch of people.
Besides. Yeah, there are a lot of DTNS listeners for sure.
Yeah, a lot of DTNS associated folk.
Mm-hmm.
We're
I was just thinking people who were on the show. You could, you know what I mean? Like that was what I was thinking. But yeah, there are a lot of fans as well. New York would have to be a stop for you.
New York City.
Yeah, London. I'd love to go back to London. I just went there about just a bit more than a year ago, but I'll go back. I ain't afraid.
Are you supposed to be?
I don't care what they say.
Is that a threat?
I'll come back. You can't keep me out, London.
That'll be the next top story.
I've never been to Paris. I've been to Paradise, but I've never been to Paris.
I had 2 tickets to Paradise. But
and if you have a cheeseburger with you,
oh man,
I will definitely come back to Illinois because my family is there. So that's a given.
It sounds like a song. I'm definitely coming back to Illinois.
Yeah, it's a country song for sure. I'm definitely coming back to Illinois.
I was thinking I just wrote an email to Mr. Ayaz Akhtar. So
also not from Illinois or Cleveland.
No, he's in New York right now, right?
He's a New Yorker.
Yep.
He's from Queens originally, but he lives in Manhattan.
What?
Now.
Yeah.
He is a subject of the Empress Cardi B of Queens.
Oh yeah. Made me think Masked Singer again.
Man, so yesterday I've been embarrassing myself. I said Steve Bezos last week instead of Jeff Bezos. I called Post Malone Post Monroe yesterday. things are. I think it must be. I'm going to claim CES fallout. Like my brain got a little worn out or something. But after talking about Post Malone just briefly and mistakenly calling him Post Monroe, a lot of people don't like Post Malone. I did not realize there was so much Post Malone antipathy out there.
I don't even know who he is. What is he, a singer?
Do you know the song Sunflower from the Spider-Man soundtrack?
Oh, okay. That's Post Malone.
That's Post Malone.
Okay.
And well, I don't dare say anyone's name these days without checking like 5 times. It's Sway Lee, Post Malone and Sway Lee.
Okay. Because the only time I'd heard of Post Malone was on The Masked Singer, because someone said, "Oh, maybe that's Post Malone," and all my kids, every single one of them, were like, "Didn't sound like that." I'm like, I don't even know who he is, guys.
Is there a reason why he garners so much side eye?
I need to find that out. Somebody put a link to a story about why in our Slack, and I haven't had a chance to read it.
Didn't he go to jail or something?
Did he? Yeah, maybe.
But like a bunch of artists have gone to jail. I can't be the only one.
Johnny Cash went to jail. Everybody seems to like him.
Yeah, but
maybe it's a posthumous thing. Like, now he's gone.
This guy looks like Post Malone. Looks like the lead singer of Coheed and Cambria. Or reminds me of him.
Right now, I guess I'm pre-Malone because I just don't know enough.
I don't know any of these people. My kids, man.
Right. Well, video folks, I doff my cap to you and say adieu.
Adieu.
On Tuesday. Don't forget, holiday in the U.S., Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which we will observe on Monday. And audio folks, stick around. There's more to come. Len's going to sing.
I'm going to